It's another Dogfight battle. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and if you're stuck on Windows Phone 8 devices on Verizon, I'm going to try to help you in this Dogfight battle. In one hand, I've got the Samsung ATIV Odyssey on Verizon for $50 right now with a 2-year agreement. In the other hand, the Nokia Lumia 822, a very similar device when it comes to specs, also for $49.99. One's made by Nokia, one's made by Samsung. They both have 4G LTE connectivity. Let's put them together in a dogfight and see which one comes out on top. But first, special thanks to our buds at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like this, which we give to you for free at instantwin.phonedog.com. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile to get either of these, they'll help you set up your live tiles, your camera settings. It's part of their program that they called Walkout Working, where they'll help you get everything set up before you walk out the doors at Best Buy Mobile. Let's take a look. ATIV Odyssey, Lumia 822. Which one's going to come out on top? Let's put them together in a dogfight and find out. So you got two Windows Phone 8 devices on Verizon, both mid-range. It's time for a dogfight between a Samsung device and a Nokia device. You got the Samsung ATIV Odyssey over here, and it's a little bit of a different page out of Samsung's playbook, comparatively speaking, because this device is arguably a mid-range device. It's packing some pretty decent specifications for a Windows Phone 8 device. It's got a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU. It's nice and fast all around with a 4-inch display, 480 by 800 pixels here, Super AMOLED display, 5 megapixel camera on the back, so you do have a nice little camera with 720p HD video recording. You've got a 2,100 milliamp hour removable battery, a nice blue, kind of pebble blue look and feel here, so kind of reminiscent of the Galaxy S3 and the Galaxy Note 2, at least in the color department. But then otherwise, 4G LTE connectivity, I should add, but otherwise, really different from what we've seen from Samsung over the past couple of months. Arguably, obviously they do mid-range devices. That's not to say that they specialize exclusively in high-end devices, but considering their flagships have been peppered in the news and have been the highlight of everything for the past couple of months, it's weird to see a Windows Phone 8 device debut like this in the States, because you would think at least they would have a high-end device. That's not to say they won't have one at some point in the future, but still kind of interesting. Then you have the Nokia Lumia 822 over here, very similar approach from Nokia. You've got the Lumia 920 on AT&T, beautiful device, 4.5-inch HD display. This, again, is a mid-range device. The only real high-end Windows Phone 8 device you have, comparatively speaking, is the HTC Windows Phone 8X on Verizon. This one's packing the same 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU. It does have a slightly larger 4.3-inch display, 480 by 800 pixels over here as well. You've got a 5-megapixel camera on the back with 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording over here, so a better camera. Carl's Ice, or at least from a megapixel perspective, I should say, a better camera. We'll wait and see in part 2 of the dogfight, but it's got a 1,800 milliamp hour removable battery on the back, so you can take care of both of these batteries and get them out as you see fit. Windows Phone 8 on both of these devices. Now, Windows Phone 8, amongst all of the operating systems, is probably the most similar across the board. Obviously, iOS only comes on one device, so keep that in mind, or one real device, the iPhone 5, and they're the older versions of iPhone. Windows Phone 8 is interesting because, manufacturers, OEMs have seen the need to differentiate themselves from a software standpoint. So when you look at the software on these devices, you'll see the typical Microsoft stuff. You'll see games, of course. You'll see music and videos. But then you're going to start to see some carrier-installed stuff, obviously, Verizon stuff, things like NFL Mobile on both of these devices. You're going to see VZ Navigator, which is obviously a Verizon thing. You're going to see Wallet pre-installed on both of these devices. Then you're going to see DataSense, which is actually one of my favorite applications for Windows Phone 8, but this is exclusive right now in the States to Verizon Wireless. So you can come in here, what I really like about this, you can select the settings. We can set a limit, for example. So let's say, we have a monthly data plan. It's 5 gigabytes. It resets on the 18th, as you can see over here. You can customize it and really see what's using your data. You can restrict it when you get close to your limit. All of these features really help somebody that's perhaps new to a smartphone, first-time smartphone buyer, which I can see as being a key demographic for somebody buying these Windows Phone 8 devices. Because arguably, you're going to look at this, you're probably watching this video and you're probably thinking, I'd buy this for my mom or my grandma or my dad or somebody that's not as well-versed in smartphones as me, because honestly, if you're watching this channel, you're probably pretty well-versed in smartphones and you're rocking a high-end device. That said, really nice device features over here. And then, of course, you're going to see Samsung and Nokia-specific applications as well. Samsung's got some great ones, and they're really useful. Again, Beauty is one of those. We'll go into these individually in just a second. Live Wallpaper, Mini Diary, which I found to be kind of fun. Then you have, of course, Outlook, OneNote, all the Microsoft stuff. Photo Editor is Samsung. And then over here you get Nokia's value-added software as well. Nokia Drive, Nokia City Lens, Nokia Maps, and Nokia Music as well. Nokia's worked really hard, and they have a lot at stake here because unlike Samsung, this is their predominant mobile platform. They're betting everything on Windows Phone 8 with the Lumia 920, the 820, all their different Windows Phone devices. They don't have Android like Samsung does. They are betting it all on Windows Phone 8. So this is more of a gamble for them than it is for Samsung, where if something happens, Samsung can just pull out of the Windows Phone 8 market and continue their focus on Android. So keep in mind all the software value adds as we move through this review. But what I love, Metro UI, and actually they're not calling it Metro UI anymore, but Microsoft's live tile look and feel here, as you can see, has become even more customizable over the months with Windows Phone 8. For example, you can change the sizes of the actual tiles themselves, and I've argued this since the Windows Phone 7 days. Remember the calendar one was always the rectangular one, and I was like, why can't you do that with messaging? Why can't you do that with phone? Because I love the ability to come in here with messaging, and when I have a text message, to see my contact. It's easy, it's quick, and for example, I'll show you right now actually with a demo. I can do a text message, and I'll say, hey, send it from a demo phone number, review phone number, and you're going to see when it pops up and says, hey, it's going to show me a preview. Now, it wouldn't show me, actually, I just sent that to the wrong phone number. I apologize. So, forget about that. Here's the demo phone number. You can see the thread that I was running previously. And you know what? It's easy to use, and I love the fact that you can customize that. So you could get the one, for example. It's all about the information that matters most to you. So right now it shows 5 over here, but I can expand it out and see some of my more recent emails as well. So you can really customize this and make it your own, which is another, customization is the big buzzword of 2013. I love the ability to do that. Let's take a look quickly at browser. You've got 4G LTE connectivity on Verizon Wireless on both of these devices. So we'll load up PhoneDog just to take a look. And Windows Phone has always done pretty well in the browsing department, and it's no exception, obviously, with either of these Windows Phone 8 devices. The one issue you may run into with both of these, screen real estate. If you're not used to going down to a 4-inch display, and it's hard to say these days, but honestly, the median range is kind of 4.5 to 4.7 inches for a lot of people now. And it's hard to go back down unless you're used to an iPhone 5 or an iPhone 4S. It may be hard to go down to this screen size. That said, it could be perfect for a lot of people. I love how well these devices fit in my hands. 4 inches, 4.3 inches. Could be a challenge when it comes to browsing. That said, both of these devices are incredibly responsive. I'll just run these through the quick browser tests so you can see. But you've got your tabs as well, and it's not as fluid of an implementation as some of the others, Android, iOS. It's not as beautiful by any means, but you can easily get from one tab to the other, and I can open a new tab as I see fit and load up whatever, CNN.com, and I can browse back and forth between CNN and PhoneDog and then get rid of it as I see fit. So still, browsing is pretty easy, relatively straightforward, and then on both of these devices, you've got your buttons down at the bottom, back, home, and then back, home, and Bing as well. So over here, let's take a look at the build quality pretty briefly, and it's important to note, it's hard to see this on camera, but the Lumia 822 is much thicker than the ATIV Odyssey. This one's 4.38 ounces. This one's about, actually just under 5 ounces. I think it's like 4.99 over here. So it's a little bit bigger, 0.42 inches over here, which is interesting. And this one's showing as 0.42, this one's showing as 0.44, but this one is arguably easier to hold in the hand. And granted, the display is smaller, but it feels thinner all around. That could be because of the build quality. This one's got kind of a chunky feel to it in comparison to some of the other devices on the market. It's definitely not a thin device. You feel it when it's in your hand. And you got this kind of weird plastic hump down here at the bottom with the Verizon logo. Otherwise, on the left side, you got nothing. You got volume rocker over here, micro SD card slot on the ATIV Odyssey. Over here, power buttons on both sides, camera shortcut buttons on both sides, and then on the Nokia, you have your volume rocker over on the right side as well, so kind of aligning everything over on the right side. Up top, 3.5mm headphone jacks. The bottom, micro USB charging ports on both, and then, of course, cameras on the back with Verizon logos and 4G LTE. Interestingly enough, you got Verizon, 4G LTE, and Windows Phone, all logos on the back. And then you got Samsung and Verizon's logo on front. So logo overkill a little bit more on the ATIV Odyssey than on the Lumia 822. That said, that may bother you, but you're probably not the normal consumer. Most consumers could care less about the logos. That said, let's take a look quickly in messaging here because I want to show you the keyboards on both of these devices. Windows Phone 8, great keyboard, 4-inch display here, 4.3, but I talk about this in almost every Windows Phone Dogfight review, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of dead space around the keyboard. So you got a 4-inch display here, but take a look at all the dead space where the keyboard really can't expand out and be its own landscape keyboard because obviously you've got the network identifier, you've got the battery meter and more that kind of hide, but even when they hide, you don't get the added screen real estate. It's kind of annoying because when you really look at it, the keyboards are about the same size in portrait and in landscape mode, but still very easy to type on. The Quick Brown Fox, happy that was pretty terrible, is happy that it is Monday.
insert the YouTube comment where he's like, "You said it was easy to type on, then he totally screwed up. Haha, he's a loser." The quick brown fox is in both of these, obviously, quick brown fox. And what I like about these is you can go in here. So, for example, instead of saying quick, I meant to say, or brown, I meant to say brow. Instead of saying fox, I meant to say fix. I can go in here and easily one tap change these words as I see fit. Crown, I probably meant quick. It has no idea what I meant there, but I'll just go ahead and add that to the dictionary. I can change these words around in real time and make it pretty quick and pretty easy.